Did you know that one simple choice in your kitchen could silently raise your risk of stroke, especially at night, without you even realizing it? It sounds dramatic, but for those of us over 60, our blood vessels don't bounce back the way they used to, and the foods we eat, particularly something as seemingly harmless as cheese, can either quietly protect our circulation or push it over the edge. Or gentle, heart-loving cheeses that can actually support your blood vessels, keep your brain sharp, and still satisfy your taste buds. All it takes is a small change, and I'm here to walk you through it. So I want to hear from you. What's the one cheese you find yourself reaching for the most? Is it cheddar, cream cheese, mozzarella, or maybe something else entirely? Just drop a 1 in the comments if you usually eat soft cheeses, or a 0 if you prefer firm ones. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Mind Body Vibe, because when it comes to protecting our hearts and minds after 60, every choice counts. Now, let's take a closer look at which cheeses could be harming your health and the ones you should be eating daily to keep your blood vessels strong. Let's start with one that's sitting in almost every American fridge: processed cheese. You know, those neatly wrapped yellow slices or the gooey stuff that comes in a jar. They're convenient, they melt beautifully, and they've been part of quick lunches and late-night snacks for decades. But here's the part we often overlook. Processed cheese isn't real cheese. It's more like a science experiment with dairy as the base. Each slice can contain over 300 milligrams of sodium, and that's just one. Stack a couple on a sandwich and suddenly you've consumed a third of your daily salt limit. For someone over 60, that's a big deal. Our blood vessels naturally become less elastic as we age. So when we add too much salt to the mix, our blood pressure rises and the arteries have to work overtime. The result? A greater chance of hypertension and, in many cases, a higher risk of stroke, especially during the night when blood pressure can spike without warning. But it's not just the salt. Processed cheeses are also full of saturated fats and emulsifiers, which contribute to plaque buildup in your arteries. The American Heart Association has consistently warned that diets high in saturated fat are closely linked to atherosclerosis, a condition where your arteries narrow and harden, reducing blood flow to the brain. A few years ago, a study published in the journal Hypertension found that older adults with high sodium and saturated fat intake had a 35% higher risk of silent strokes, those sneaky strokes you don't even feel until later damage shows up. So what can you do instead? Start by checking your fridge. If you see a pack of individually wrapped cheese slices, consider replacing them with a more natural option. You don't have to quit cheese entirely, but choosing ones with lower sodium and no artificial additives can protect your heart and brain more than you might realize. Let's move on to another popular cheese that might surprise you with its risks. It's tangy, bold, and often considered a grown-up flavor. But along with that strong flavor comes something called tyramine. Tyramine is a naturally occurring compound found in aged foods, and it's known to interact with blood pressure. For those with sensitive vascular systems or who are on certain medications like MAO inhibitors, tyramine can cause dangerous spikes in blood pressure. On top of that, blue cheese is relatively high in saturated fat. While not quite as processed as cheese slices, it still contributes to bad cholesterol levels when eaten regularly. If you already have a history of high blood pressure or vascular inflammation, the added fat and tyramine can tip the scales in the wrong direction. Now, I'm not saying you can never enjoy it again, but moderation is key. And for many, especially if you're noticing blood pressures creeping up or if you're on medication, it might be safest to skip it altogether. So, next time you're building a salad or a cheese board, think twice before reaching for that blue veined wedge. There are better, gentler options for your blood vessels, and we'll get to those soon. But first, there's another creamy favorite we need to talk about. It's smooth, rich, and practically a breakfast staple for millions, especially spread thick on a warm bagel. But if you're over 60 and reaching for cream cheese every morning, it's time to pause and consider what it might be doing to your heart and arteries. Unlike harder cheeses, cream cheese contains very little protein and almost no calcium. Instead, it's mostly made up of saturated fat. Just 2 tablespoons, that's about the amount you'd spread on 1/2 of a bagel, can contain over 9 grams of fat, the majority of which is saturated. And here's the issue. When your diet is high in saturated fat and low in beneficial nutrients like calcium or protein, your LDL cholesterol, also known as the bad kind, can start to climb. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that elevated LDL cholesterol in older adults is a major predictor of atherosclerosis, which means fatty deposits begin lining your arteries. And when those arteries are in your brain or around your heart, it puts you at direct risk for stroke or heart disease. Even worse, because cream cheese is often eaten with refined carbs like white bread or bagels, it causes a spike in blood sugar, followed by a dip, which can make you feel tired, foggy, or even dizzy. That foggy-headed feeling after breakfast, it might be more than just a bad night's sleep. Now, I get it. Letting go of a favorite comfort food isn't easy, but you don't have to say goodbye forever. Instead, try swapping in a lighter, protein-rich spread like whipped cottage cheese or even ricotta with some herbs. You'll still get the creamy texture, but with a lot more nutritional support for your brain and circulation. All right, we've got one more cheese to be cautious about, especially if you like things all American. Let's talk about that next. But what's even more concerning are the synthetic additives. Some of these, like phosphates and emulsifiers, have been linked to inflammation in the blood vessels, which over time can weaken the arterial walls. For older adults, that means a higher chance of developing vascular issues that can lead to cognitive decline or stroke. A recent review published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition pointed out that people who consumed more processed cheese had a significantly higher risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those who chose natural cheeses. The reason? It's not just about fat or salt. It's about how these artificial compounds affect your entire vascular system. So, if you're using American cheese daily, especially in sandwiches or melted on top of meals, it might be time to reconsider. Instead, opt for a slice of fresh mozzarella or even goat cheese. These alternatives not only offer more nutrition, but also support brain function and circulation without the chemical overload. Unlike the processed cheeses we just covered, ricotta is made by reusing the whey left behind during cheese production. That's important because whey is loaded with high-quality protein that your body absorbs easily. Especially important as we get older and begin to lose muscle mass more quickly. Just half a cup of ricotta delivers around 14 grams of protein, including a rich supply of amino acids that help with muscle repair. And why does that matter for stroke and heart health? Because stronger muscles help support better balance and movement, reducing your risk of falls. But even more important, ricotta's high protein content can help regulate blood pressure. Another perk of ricotta? It's naturally low in sodium, often just 50 milligrams per serving.